Hi, and welcome to the next part of my video lesson series on the playing of Jimmie Rodgers. And so far we've done the basic progressions for a lot of his songs, slower songs in E and in A. We've also learned some turnarounds, which is an introduction to some of the single string runs, fills, and eventually solo lines that you'll hear him use. Now we're going to take a look at playing over his progressions, and we're going to start out on the 1 chord, and that's where he does a lot of his licks and fills and things like that. So in the key of E, that's what we'll start out in. We'll start out playing over the 1 chord at the start of a typical Jimmie Rodgers slow song. So in the first lesson, we worked on the alternating bass, or the monotonic bass, and then just playing a very simple treble line just with the first finger. Again, we got a thumb pick and a finger pick on the first finger. Jimmie played with his bare fingers. I'm pretty sure you can do this however you want, but that's how I'm going to do it. Now in a lot of his songs, when he starts out on the 1 playing over the E chord, he does just a little single string kind of lick that's really a call and response with his vocal. And now let me play it for you one time and then we'll work on that. So here we are, a typical slow Jimmie Rodgers tune, key of E. Alright, very simple. So without the bass, all I'm doing on that lick, open, second string, then I'm going to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then I'm doing that hammer-on trill type thing on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. So the whole lick. In a lot of the songs, he'll sing a verse, then he'll sing the first part of the verse, then he'll throw that in to really answer his own singing. Then the bass is just thumping on the open 6th string. Although there's a couple songs where it sounds like he might be playing part of a shuffle rhythm. Let me show that to you. I can't hear for sure. On a lot of the recordings it's tough to hear exactly what's going on, but it works, so it's possible. So this rhythm. Could do something like that as well, and it works. But what I hear a lot of times is just the open 6th string. And then when he wraps that up, he's just going back to that, getting the open first 2 string. And he drops his pinky or his ring finger or something on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to make that an E7, getting ready to transition to the 4 chord. So again, this is a typical thing that Jimmie Rodgers did as he was singing in his slower tunes. So let me do it for you one more time. I'll play it all the way through. And then we'll go play over the 4 chord. Now that is the first verse. The first time you play over the 1, he's usually singing. And then he goes to the 4, which I'm going to play just normally here, and then we'll work on the licks over the 4 chord separately. So if I just play straightforward over the 4, which is an A7th. There's where you hear a lot of single string runs, and he does these so many different versions. Let me just show you a couple examples, and then you can listen to his tunes. I've written out a bunch of these on tabs, which I'll try to affix to my website somehow. I got to figure out how to do that. So this lick that I just played here is, I'll just break it down and play the treble parts first. The bass again is just thumping straight. And then the treble, very similar to what we did on the introduction. So I'm starting out this particular one, 3rd fret of the 1st string, open. Same thing on the 2nd string, bending on the 3rd string, but instead of playing the 2nd string open, I go back to the open 1st string, and then the open 2nd string. So that whole part. Then we're gonna go from the 3rd fret to the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, open 2nd string, and then, which we've done before. If you haven't watched the previous lessons, coming down on the 1st fret of the 3rd string and an open 1st string. So that whole lick right there. Normal space, speed. And just go right into the 7th chord. And that's just one example. So the same idea. Let's do it again coming from the 4. So the 4. And it's right on the beat where I actually am pinching on that first part of that lick. Pinching the open 6th string bass and the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Like that. So the whole thing with the bass. So the bass just tries to keep going, and with the beat, and then the treble line is played over that. So that's one example. A couple other examples from some different tunes. Here's another variation of the same type of thing. Let me just play it for you one time, again from the 4. So that time, I'm winding up, just bending twice on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with an open 1st string, then open 2nd string, same little run here, 3rd fret, 2nd fret on the 3rd string. This time, instead of doing this, I'm going to end up on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. I could still throw in that lick. That lick he plays all the time as he's wrapping up these little single string runs. So there's another one. And again, the 7th, that's an E7th chord. And a lot of times when he does that 7th chord, he'll play just an E major chord and then drop the finger in right before he switches to the next chord to play the 7th, which kind of leads you into that. Some other examples that he does, one of the fancier little single string runs, he does something like this. And that's, I'm not sure if that's note for note, but I remember that first part, he goes, and he's gonna, let's just do the whole thing. 3rd fret of the 1st string, open. 3rd fret of the 2nd string, open 1st string. Then right away, 3rd fret. Then on the 2nd fret, he goes to the 2nd fret of the 1st string and then does a little trill there. So the whole thing. Here's another example. It's a couple songs I showed you on the turnarounds part where he goes to the bass notes. Work some of that in. But most of those single string runs, he's just doing in that E position. So there's one, just following 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open. Same thing on the 2nd string. And that same lick that we used when we were playing over the vocal. So the single string fills that you hear, he uses so many of them, but they're all played in that same area. And if you listen to the section that I did on the turnarounds, or not turnarounds, but the introductions, I do quite a few examples of those. And it's really pretty much the same ideas, just recycled, played differently. So that is the section of playing over the one chord. When we come back, we'll take a look at playing, what does he do in the tune during the vocals when he's playing over the 4 chord, the A7th. And I'll show you a couple different ideas there.